Ghost in the Shell is the perfect live-action adaptation. And what I mean by that is it really captures the blandness of the original anime to a T. It captures the blandness to a T. Hey, what's up, you guys? Film fan 0599 here again, and today we're going to review Ghost in the Shell, the 2017 version. So, Ghost in the Shell stars Scarlett Johansson, and what this film is basically about, it's about this woman named Major, and she is basically, she's like a human, she has the brain of a human, but she's also a robot, and she's the first of her kind, and basically, she's now a perfect weapon to take on organizations and take people down. Let's just say she starts to learn some things, and that's all I'll really say. So, what did I think of Ghost in the Shell? Now, going into Ghost in the Shell, I was kind of excited for it. I thought it looked very visually stunning. I thought it could have been, honestly, had some cool elements that I thought could be really interesting. And even though I'm not a fan of the original anime, I'm in the very, very minority with that. I thought maybe this remake could improve on some things that I didn't like about that original anime film. And I was hoping maybe this could be something good. Literally, my problems with the original anime are my exact problems with this live-action adaptation. It's like they didn't improve on anything to me. Like with this adaptation, they just didn't improve on anything. Literally, I feel the exact same way about this live-action remake as I did with the original anime film. Like, this live-action adaptation is just a lifeless and bland movie. That's exactly what this is. It is a forgettable, lifeless, bland film. I almost immediately forgot about this movie after watching it. I literally woke up today, I was like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to do a review today. Wait, what was I supposed to do a review for? Because I immediately forgot about this movie. Because it's just that forgettable. It's such a forgettable, bland, and lifeless movie. That's exactly what it is. It's the exact same as the original movie to me. Bland and boring. But I do have a few positives with the movie. And my positives are, here they are. First being, the acting. The acting is not too bad. I do think the performances are pretty solid in the movie. I thought Scarlett Johansson was pretty good in the movie. I did think her performance was pretty solid. The one dude from Game of Thrones, he plays like Theon's uncle in the show. He was pretty solid too. I liked him in the movie. He did a pretty solid job with his performance. Yeah, the acting just really isn't that bad in the movie. I thought the acting was pretty solid. There are some really cool action scenes in this movie, I will admit. Like, especially that first action scene we see. Really cool. Like, I really like the action sequences at points with this movie. There are some pretty cool action sequences that I thought were very well choreographed and were very well filmed. I will say some of the writing was pretty solid. I did think some of the writing was pretty good. Directing is pretty solid too. I believe the director's name is Rupert Sanders. He did a pretty good job directing the movie. I will say it's very well shot. Editing's pretty good. Cinematography is really fantastic. I do love the cinematography with this movie. So yeah, the directing really isn't that bad with Ghost in the Shell. I thought Rupert Sanders did a pretty solid job directing the movie. And the movie is visually stunning. I will say that. The movie, for the most part, is visually stunning. The visuals are absolutely incredible. I will say that. For the most part, the visuals are absolutely incredible. I absolutely love the visuals with this movie. They are so incredible. So yeah, the visuals are really, really great for the most part. I do think they do a really great job with the visual effects for this film. And lastly, there are some moments where the movie can be interesting, and it did have some interesting and intriguing moments. I was like, okay, I'm interested to see where this could go and everything. So yeah, there were some moments in this movie that I did feel some intrigue. Now let's get into my negatives, because I do have a few negatives with this film. First being the characters. like with the anime, they are boring. Honestly, they are so boring and so lifeless. Now, I will say this, at least, I will say this. At least with the live action adaptation with Major, at least she was a bit better in this to me, at least, because there were some moments where I did feel bad for her character. I actually did think she was intriguing at some points, but for the most part, where I didn't really feel the character was intriguing at all in the anime, I did think she was intriguing at some points, but for the most part, she really is just a bland and just forgettable character, honestly. She is not that interesting as a main character, to be honest with you. I did not enjoy her. She wasn't really that interesting of a character. Same goes with the with her partner, the dude from Game of Thrones. His character was kind of bland as well. Like, just the characters are bland. The acting performances aren't bad. Like, I do think the performances are solid, but it's just the characters themselves are not that intriguing to me. Like, they're really not that investing to me. Like, I don't really care for them, honestly. So, yeah, next being the story. The story isn't interesting either. Like, I wasn't invested with the story with this movie. I found it kind of just bland, honestly, the story. Like, it wasn't that intriguing. It didn't catch my attention at all, honestly, for the most part. Like I said, there were some intriguing moments, but for the most part, really, the story just didn't intrigue me, and I just wasn't invested in this film, really, for the most part. The story is pretty lifeless. There are some action sequences that are kind of just, like, they're just kind of underwhelming, especially the final action scene to this movie. Like, it is so underwhelming. Like, it really is. So yeah, some of the action scenes are pretty underwhelming in this movie, especially the final action scene in the movie. Very underwhelming. And there are some moments where I do think the visual effects can be kind of a tad bit bad. Like, not really bad, but there are some points where the visual effects do look kind of, like, okay-ish. Like, there are some points, like, it's mostly when Scarlett Johansson is, like, running at some points, like, when she's running on the walls and stuff. Like, it looks very, very obvious that that's, like, special effects. Like, it just looks terrible. There are some moments where I do think the visual effects aren't really that great. And the villains in this movie are just one-dimensional. They really are. They're just villains there to just be the sake of villains. That's really all they're there for, is villains just to be for the sake of being villains. Like, they add no, they really add nothing to me, except that they're just there to be villains. Like, they're not that menacing, and they're honestly not that well developed either. They really aren't. They aren't really that well developed, they're villains. They aren't that great, and I thought they were just kind of just alright, and they were just thrown in there just for the sake of, oh, we need villains. And lastly, the movie's pretty boring. It really is. The movie is an hour and 47 minutes and moves at a snail's pace. It's pretty boring. So, yeah, the movie really, like, I was so bored during this because it's so lifeless. If I don't care about your characters and if I don't care about your story for the most part, honestly, I'm not going to be invested, and I was pretty bored while watching this movie. So overall, Ghost in the Shell, this live-action adaptation, is really that. It's a almost perfect representation of a live-action movie to me, as it just captures what was so bland and boring about the original and just doesn't improve on anything to me at all. It just really doesn't. I'll say I slightly prefer this over the anime because at least, like I said, at least I was invested and Major a little bit more in this than I was in the anime. But that still doesn't mean that this is a good movie. This is still a pretty mediocre film, honestly. And I didn't really enjoy it. So aside from my official grade on Ghost in the Shell, my official grade on Ghost in the Shell is a C+. I didn't enjoy this movie all that much, honestly. It's really that, just a boring, forgettable, lifeless movie, and really, it's just that, honestly. Like, I didn't really enjoy it all that much. The characters are uninteresting, for the most part. The story's pretty uninteresting, and yeah, it's just not that good of a movie, and it could have been really something cool, but they just didn't, hit the mark on it. They kind of missed the mark with this. So yeah, I didn't enjoy Ghost in the Shell all that much, and it definitely deserves a C+. So, if you have seen Ghost in the Shell, what did you think of it? Leave it in the comment section below, and I'm FilmFan0599, and we will see you out later. Peace.